Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Meredith, Alonso, talking about Runaways, Season 1, Episode 7, Refraction. Okay, so he is not her father.
He is, or grandfather.
Or grandfather. So, phew, because gross.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, okay, good. Alonso's theory is not real. We don't have, this is not Game of Thrones.
I didn't think the show was going to go with that. Somebody online said, I love the fact that the fake Scientology religion on this show is actually founded by an alien.
I know, at least that has some reality in it.
There you go.
I'm still so confused though about what's going on. Like the more that it strays away from the comics, the more I can't predict what's going to happen. Not that that's a bad thing.
I was going to say,
I actually really enjoy it. So I was explaining to some friends recently who were like, we hate it because it's not a direct copy. And I'm like, listen, as long as they keep the spirits of these characters alive, I'd rather see a whole new story unfold. If I wanted to read the comics, I'd read the comics.
I was going to say, it's not like they went and burned all of your comics and said, no, you can only watch the TV version from now on, you know.
But,
so yeah, it's its own thing. And I think, again, dramatically speaking, I think they're very smart in laying out all this groundwork and letting us, giving us the backstory, giving us the complicated relationships. Because when you hear the premise of this show, oh, these kids find out their parents are supervillains, and you have this picture in your head of like, oh, well, they're going to be all evil, and the kids are going to be great, and And it's like, no, it's like, even if you are growing up in a household where everything isn't perfect and where people are flawed and people are, even doing bad things, like there's still this sort of complicated web of feelings that you have.
And that's something that the last couple of episodes have subverted really well, where we were led to believe Tina, Nico's mom, is the worst, but we start to see the sympathy that Nico develops through as the infidelity comes out. But then we also just kind of see basic parenting issues where with Alex's dad, Jeffrey, yells at him, and then with everything going on with Molly, with Gert's parents, and you're starting to see, like, as a kid, like, yes, you don't see that your parents are doing something because they love you and they're trying to do the right thing, but they're getting angry at you. But as a child, I remember times I got yelled at and I was like, fine, I'm just gonna run away from home. And it's starting to build those more complex relationships that when they eventually run away, I think it's going to not
it's not an act of petulance.
Exactly. or some of it might be. Some of it might just be like, well, I'm angry at my mom but maybe for the wrong reasons.
Sure.
And I'm really proud that the rating of this has been to that level of like, oh, this is a very well thought out, well nuanced, well done show.
Yeah,
and I can't say that a lot about superhero stuff.
Definitely not. No, I like the whole metaphor of like the what Jonah does to you.
I know.
Where it's like having a parent who's drunk or a drug addict or whatever. Or like it's like everything's and then the crash.
I know. I love that, Molly. I love Molly, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do. I thought that was really that was smart, but yeah, like, and we see the different levels of addiction because with Victor, like we start rooting for Victor. We think, oh, Victor is having this change of heart, and he was. I think he was getting better, but then getting that dose, that high concentrated dose of Jonah, and then just to see him unravel like that.
Yeah, I also like the whole notion that like the worst thing you could do to an adopted child is ship them off.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really seen that addressed before in a TV show. I was like, oh yeah, that would super suck.
Yeah, and I felt like, again, that's not something I have any like relation to, but it hurt. Like it definitely hurt me on a level of like, oh, I would hate to be shipped away. And obviously Gert's parents are doing this because they don't want, for whatever happens, if Jonah finds out, like, are they gonna sacrifice Molly? We don't know, but that was visceral.
Yeah.
And then also, what was it?
Well, the whole thing with Frank and the healing gloves.
Oh yeah, Frank and the healing gloves. Oh no, I was thinking just to switch to the kids.
Oh.
How does Alex know Tina's password?
Oh yeah, they keep bringing that up, and is that maybe going to be his power?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's just, in the comics, he's just like super smart hacker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder what that comes
It's a very specific power. He can guess your password.
Yeah, right? Like,
Turkey volume guessing man.
That's the worst mutant. No, there are worse mutant powers, so that's pretty lame. But yeah, no, the thing with Frank and his gloves, and now he's kind of like, I wonder if because when he puts the gloves on, he's getting that contact, and so he's kind of riding that high.
But it's also like it's Jonah kind of fucking with Leslie's sort of proprietary thing with the church and like.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, what is your deal, Jonah? Who are you? What are you?
Yeah.
What's your end game?
I love the old photo. Like, that's such a cool reveal. Not only to trigger Frank's memory, but like, okay, I need an explanation now. Who is this guy? What's the deal?
Also, since we know that he's been having relations with Frank's wife,
right?
That's kind of really creepy because he knew Jonas Roy Moore. Ew. It is creepy though. Yeah, I don't. It's going off the rails, but I don't dislike it. It's a
do we know what Pride stands for yet? Have they told us?
and the fact that, because I'll watch it with subtitles, and that Pride is
always it's an acronym.
Capped, So yeah, I want to know what it means. Like it's like AIM or what the other
Dare.
word, yeah.
Oh, MODOK, you mean?
Yeah. AIM is from
Advanced
Iron
Idea
Man,
Mechanics.
But yeah, then MODOK. MODOK's the best. Yeah, I'm shocked where this, and then the ending. Like we just cured him of brain cancer, but now we're just gonna shoot him. But I don't think it's the end.
Oh well, let's talk about the beginning actually, because it sort of ties into that.
Right.
So okay, so we have him saying, well, time travel isn't just about like sending messages or changing things, but then is he getting a message from future Chase,
yes,
not to use the fistigons, and then he uses the fistigons. And,
So yeah, and I love, and I also love like the 1950s box that he made for his time travel.
Yes, and that TV, that's sphere,
it. Yeah,
I love that.
But it's interesting that like he was, it's a typical trope we see like Back to the Future and other time traveling shows.
Sure.
But yeah, he's like, he didn't listen and he used the fistigons and now he got shot. So ultimately we know that this is going to lead to some giant monster, like Godzilla-esque monster devouring the city, or more Cthulhu-esque from what I remember from seeing.
Oh, right. Yeah, so again, I got no beef with how this is playing out. If you didn't call the show Runaways, I think nobody would be being like, when's the actual running away gonna happen? Because I don't know, I think that the comics tells the story in the comics way. TV storytelling is different, even though they're both serialized.
Yeah.
And this one I think feels like they are. Yeah, we need to know why they're running away, what they're running away from, whether or not it's a good idea, what the stakes are if they get caught, all that shit. And we're being given it in a very interesting way.
And I still stand by the fact that a lot of it is metaphorically running away.
Sure.
We see Gert's parents wanting to run away from Pride. We see, people wanting to run away from responsibility or doing certain things.
Right.
So I think eventually they'll physically run away.
Yes, but it's also that moment of realizing that your parents aren't infallible and your parents don't always make the right decisions, and your parents might be up to something that is a bad idea. Yeah. That's a stage of adolescence, you know, and how you deal with that, and what your relationship with your parents winds up being on the other side. That kind of thing.
It's been a really smart coming of age story, and I think cross-generational people can appreciate the show.
And again, we've said this before, but exceptional casting. The kids, the adults, all really interesting. Like a friend of mine was saying on Facebook, like, I love all the moms on this show. They're all really interesting. Like, yeah, they are.
I normally don't like moms in TV shows because they're like so far from what I can identify with, but I love all the moms. And like my growing sympathy for Tina. I'm really liking Tina. I don't know why, I just am.
Well, she was initially portrayed as such a kind of like, oh, we've seen this before. And it's like, no, there's a person in there,
No, I think what they're doing is they're taking stereotypes and tropes and they're subverting them. And I think it's fantastic. I think the show is highly self-aware, especially of its demographic and especially where comic books have come from in the past. And I really applaud the writers.
And coming off of like Iron Fist, and then I was not nearly as into Punisher as a lot of people.
And Defenders.
Well, Defenders I was fine except for Iron Fist, I thought. But anyway, I feel like, all right, well, Netflix is not entirely a stable ship, but Hulu's certainly off on the right foot.
And I think this is something to consider going forward now that Disney has taken over a lot of Fox holdings. Disney now owns 60% stake in Hulu. Going forward, this might be the types of stories we're going to see from their VOD platform, because I haven't caught up, but like Disney wanted to do their own VOD platform, but now that they have Hulu, and if Marvel and Hulu and Disney is so successful, I'm okay with more of these stories. I'm not saying that I don't want the more adult, Marvel Max stories that we get on Netflix, but I also think that this what Runaways is a beautiful in-between between what we get from the TV,
the ABC
stuff, and Netflix.
No, you're right. I think it's a middle ground, both in terms of what you can get away with, like a child says shit in this episode, but also like the difference between, you know, we talked about how the Netflix shows are kind of designed to be binged, and then Hulu, they're making you watch this in a serialized format, at least for now anyway, and I think they're doing a good job of making each episode a sort of discrete, you know, ETE entity with a beginning, middle, end, and a cliffhanger, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think they're on the right track. We'll see where all this goes. All right, well, Runaways is not taking Christmas off, so neither will we. We'll be back next week with the next episode. We hope you'll join us. Happy holidays.